Every few years, there's a low-seeded playoff team that goes on some type of historic run. Whether it's the 4-seeded barely winning their divisions, Bengals and Rams both make it to the Super Bowl where LA would go on to win, the 6-seeded Tennessee Titans upsetting Tom Brady, which led to him leaving the Patriots, and MVP Lamar Jackson, then losing to Kansas City with a blown 10-point lead because that was the playoffs where Mahomes came back from any lead possible. Then, while before that, we had the 2011-7 New York Giants upsetting the Patriots as they were heavy underdogs. And I did not watch football back then because I was 5 and 9, but I cry thinking about it sometimes. This year, there's a team that I think can make a similar run to that Tennessee Titans team. You know, the one where Derrick Henry ran for like 200 yards every game. Not actually, but then Tannehill threw for like 100 every game. Because of the team's great quarterback in the playoffs. We've seen him already win a Super Bowl. And a great running game out of nowhere this year. And that team is the Los Angeles Rams. Through the first 9 games, the Rams were 3-6 and did not look good whatsoever. But through the last 8, they've looked great, beating some good opponents, barely losing to my Super Bowl team, the Baltimore Ravens, in overtime, finished the year 10-7 to be the 6th seed in the NFC. In that time span, they averaged 28.3 points per game, which was 4th in the NFL. The team has come together in ways that, honestly, we could not have expected, given how bad they were through the first 9. And we know the Rams have talent, though, with Stafford, Kupp, Donald, and others on this roster. But after they start off so slow, losing 4 of 5, going 7-1 to finish the year was out of the picture. Now, the main cog in this offense is obviously Matthew Stafford, who's been playing at a mind-blowing level this year, even if the box score stats don't tell you that. With the 3rd best turnover-worthy percentage, tied for 1st in big-time throw percentage, and overall having one of the most efficient seasons of his career. The way he's been playing this year is incredible. He's made so many throws that I can't even believe were real. Like that throw to Puka in the Ravens game on that crossing route where he was kind of lined up at tight end. Now, while it may not come up on the stat sheet for most of the year, this may have been the best football he has played in his career, just based off the plays he has made alone. That is due in large part to rookie star wide receiver Puka Nacua, who my podcast mate Mike Kennedy has a whole video on. He broke the rookie receptions and yards records for wide receivers this season, which is the 3rd record Stafford has helped break as a passer. Overall, he is no doubt a top 5 to 10 receiver at this point in the NFL. He has insane hands, catches literally everything. He's good after the catch, like that play against the Giants and that overtime winning trucking touchdown. And there really is nothing Puka cannot do. And then there's obviously Cooper Kupp, who this year has not been great, but, I mean, he still can pick it up in the playoffs. A lot of that has to do with injuries, as well as Puka Nacua's outburst. But, I don't know, Kupp, we really got to figure out what's going on there. But the real star of this offense is Kyren Williams. When he plays, the Rams were 8-4. He actually leads the league in yards per game, but only played in 12. 5th in touchdowns among running backs, because Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts are up there. 4th in yards per game, and near the top of the league in many advanced categories. One I want to point out is yards after contact per attempt, which came 11th in and 6th in total yards after contact. Again, only in 12 games, while also being top 10 in missed tackles forced. At his size, 5'9", 194 pounds, I don't know if I've seen a more physical runner. That is an insane stature to be as physical as he is in football. Overall, he's just a physical player because he throws his body on the line everywhere, especially in pass protection. That's why Sean McVay trusts him to play every down, which is why he played over 79% of snaps in 7 of 12 games. Basically 8, but whatever. When Kyren gets going, the whole offense gets going. The play action comes off of Kyren, and that is where Stafford succeeds as he's the 3rd ranked quarterback on play action passes. One thing we gotta keep in mind. The first round of the playoffs, they play the Detroit Lions. This emotional battle, which I'll get into in a little bit. But the Lions, while yes, they did not have CJ Gardner-Johnson for a while, are in the bottom 6 in passing defenses. If you look at all of their losses, it's mostly through just quick strikes in the passing game, which is strictly good for Puka and Cooper Kupp this weekend. The Lions are not ready for the passing onslaught those two and Stafford will bring in his return home, because nobody can guard those two, and they're great on those short routes as well as intermediate. And, Puka, they're both good everywhere, but especially in those two areas, which is where the Lions have struggled the most. There's also one huge discrepancy in this matchup alone in the wildcard round. Sean McVay versus Dan Campbell. There's going to be a coaching masterclass from Sean McVay compared to Dan Campbell, because he's just a 10 times better coach than Campbell will ever be. While Campbell is a great players coach, sometimes he messes up the X's and O's, like with his aggressiveness, specifically in that Cowboys game. I think that Sean McVay and the way that he will coach his game will make it a cinematic type of game for Matthew Stafford's first trip to Detroit since being traded. Now, we have seen Jared Goff struggle against well-coached teams in the playoffs, and now that he is meeting his former team as well, I think Sean McVay and both sides of the ball, to be honest, will outplay Jared Goff and make him make mistakes, create turnovers, and things of that nature. The Lions are built to be beaten by quick strikes in the air, as I mentioned, and that is exactly what the Rams have always done. Stafford and McVay equal a good, quick passing attack to defeat Detroit in their first home playoff game in many decades. This also is not even talking about the emotional aspect of this, being Stafford's return to Detroit. While I did bring it up, still, being drafted there to a poorly managed franchise that never really tried to put the best pieces around Stafford. I actually have a whole video on this from years ago. Then being traded to LA and winning a Super Bowl. This game means a lot to him, and you'll show it right out the gate. He's a good playoff performer as well, which certainly matters, even though he went 0-3 in the playoffs with Detroit. And one thing that's not being talked about in this game is the Josh Reynolds revenge game. Now that's going to be scary. I mean, he could put on a masterclass, but watch out for that as well. Now, one of the reasons that they're even in this spot to possibly defeat the Detroit Lions after their fallout from stars leaving the past couple of years is because of their drafting success. Now, they traded away all their first round picks since 2016, but have nailed almost every late round pick. Here are some starters that gone in rounds 3 and later in the past few years. Ernest Jones, stud linebacker this year. An okay corner in Kobe Durant. Kyren Williams, mentioned above. Byron Young, Kobe Turner, and we'll get into those two in quite literally 10 seconds. Michael Hocht, don't know how to say that. And Puka Nacua, and a couple more too. Now, let's talk about those two cats, Kobe Turner and Byron Young. Two rookies who lead the team in sacks. Turner has 9, and Young has 8, which is tied with Aaron Donald for second. Kobe Turner's impact on this defense from the interior isn't talked about in Rams discourse or in Defensive Rookie of the Year discourse. Kobe is the 8th ranked defensive tackle in the league, 17th in pressures, 16th in win percentage, was also the 11th ranked run defender from the position. It goes without saying that he has had a very, very underrated season from the defensive tackle perspective, not even being considered for Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I'm not even talking about underrated in a rookie perspective, I'm talking amongst the league. And Byron Young has way better odds than him, according to Odds Tracker, for Defensive Rookie of the Year, which is insane to me. While this defense isn't great, there are some holes. They have a lot of playmakers on the defensive line and Ernest Jones at linebacker, which can affect other teams' passing games and running games. We also got guys like Kobe Turner and Aaron Donald dominating the inside against the run. Look out for the 2 rookie defenders this postseason, as well as Aaron Donald, of course, as they will for sure come up in key moments. Now, say they beat the Lions, which they will. They play the 49ers, which is a tough task. The Rams lost to the 49ers in week 2 without Kupp, but they dominated time possession 33 minutes and 11 seconds to 26-49. While the Rams did beat them in week 18, doesn't count as Carson Wentz versus Sam Darnold. Who cares? There were some defenders and skill players playing for both sides, but it was a meaningless game. In an insanely difficult to beat a team twice in a year, especially in divisions, unless you're the Patriots this year or the Panthers this year. which, I mean, let's not even get into either of those teams. Shout out Gerard Mayo, though. That news broke this morning. I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm all right with it. The Rams are on a hot streak of 7-1, while the 49ers at times have looked kind of scary in a bad way this second half of the year. McVay has Super Bowl winning experience and has lost in another. And Shanahan is 0-38 when trailing by 7 or more points entering a fourth quarter of any game. So if the Rams' offensive hot streak continues in this game, they have a huge chance of playing the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC Championship game. The only question with that 49ers team is if they can stop them since they've been well rested. But CMC's coming off an injury. Trent Williams has been kind of dealing with injuries all season. So there's a chance these guys could come out and have some crucial defensive plays, the Rams, to get stops on the 49ers offense. Plus, outside of Ward, the 49ers secondary is not elite. Missing Talanoa Hufanga for a while now, Stafford, Kupp, and Puka for a second week in a row could put on a show against this 49ers defense. The Rams got hot right when it mattered. Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, and Aaron Donald have a chance to do something special this Sunday night and moving forward through the playoffs, as they will have to upset the Lions and 49ers to reach their likely ceiling of the NFC Championship game, where they most likely would lose to that Dallas team because they are just outmatched in every way there. CeeDee Lamb will have a cakewalk. I can't wait to watch the Rams-Lions game this Sunday, so it could possibly be the best outside the Super Bowl that we see in this playoffs. And with all that being said, that is for me, guys. Thank you for tuning into Fanatic Sports. If you made it this far in the video, come on, just give it a like, subscribe to the channel. All support is very much appreciated and helps me out more than you know. Also, follow me on Instagram at FanaticSports25 and on Twitter and TikTok at Fanatic Sports. This is Joe of Fanatic Sports, signing off.